Welcome, wildflowers. Today, so much prayer, song, dance, fire, magic, ghosts, water, ancient, future, and more. May I be present in a way that remains in deep service to my true calling. May the divine energy that guides me call me through, lead me to do everything I need to do when I need to do it. May I dissolve all fear of playing the role I am needed. May I dissolve all fear of the responsibility, the pain, the confusion that comes along for the ride. May I dissolve all false pretense, false guidance, unnecessary karmic presence. May I reflect to all of you who are simply representatives for your tribe, not really here for the right reasons. May I reflect all of you who are in danger of being triggered deeply and blaming me, us, this. May I be present with those of you who are here with your full heart. May I be present with those of you who are here to do the sacred work we are called to do. Welcome, wildflowers. One more time, indeed we be a part of this, learning to be free. One more time, that's all we know. Inside of you is the heart we grow. One more time, indeed I say, we're here to live the depths this way. When we unite our hearts in the deepest flow, no false fears can grow. When we unite our hearts with the deepest flow, no false fears can grow. One more time is all we need to know. It's time to step into the truth you know. The land sings. It sings to you. If you inflict your songs or songs you listen to that become your songs inadvertently, you won't hear it. The rain sings. It changes your life. It changes your heart. If you won't let it, if you resist it, you'll be stuck in lethargies that grip you. Grip you. It is most likely that you are being gripped by lethargies that are not your own. They're not your own, but you've accepted them because they're a common denominator with others who they don't know how to cherish you. Stepping beyond what you know, it's dangerous. You gotta like this a little bit. Of course, there's too much. Of course, there's too far. No one's asking you, no one here is asking you to abandon your wisdom, your consciousness, your intuition. If anything, we only seek to help you enhance it. And yet, to breathe through a variety of trepidations, fears, and more is part of the journey. You can't ask to be that safe. If you're asking to be that safe, you're in the wrong place. I do get off a little in how intense this is. Of course I do. This is me. This is the wild flowing spirit. This is worth it. But it's not a thoughtless, endless, thrill-seeking way. This is about recreating a world that we share together. It's about creating a world that has been here before. The earth sings. We listen. You surrender You're right to inflict your mind upon yourself and those around you. You surrender any pretense that you're in full control. You want full control, go play in a kiddie pool. You want full control, go give full control to someone who's going through their process and telling you that you are them and you like it because it creates stability, so you do it. That's full control of something. By the way, it's fragile, temporary, and will fall apart in a way that's probably unpleasant. Own it. You got to own yourself to make this work. You got to own yourself to live and ride and feel and be present. You got to own yourself to be this deep love. You've got to own yourself. And no, you don't need to understand what that means. You don't. That's part of the point. You have to own it as a question. I choose to own myself. The world says, oh, really? But this is a part of you. You were once with Augustus. You did some stuff. And you say, what? I don't want to think about that. And the world says, but that's you. She does this. She calls you to account, but she does it with grace if you choose to accept it with grace. She does it with the rhythms of the rain. Yes, the real rain, the rain that falls upon your head, is part of a greater, deeper spiritual rhythm that calls you to account for the many ways you have been. And if you continue to return to the prayer that you want to take full responsibility for yourself, you rest in it. You rest in this prayer and you trust that what's shown to you is part of becoming. There are many things that are ultimately vibrations. So they're not things, but they are created out of vibration and they manifest as things because they are witnessed as things. And once they've been witnessed at things, they take on a more separate presence. They become something that can be identified. And when you share this vision with others, it reinforces it. You have this power too. You can take any time, any phase, any context, and you can witness with a beginning and an end. Boom, you've made it a thing in a certain way. You've separated it from totality. This is an amazing power. You're doing it. You're using it all the time, perhaps without being conscious of it. So when you become more conscious of how you use this power to delineate perspective, macro, micro, and you see within this context, you begin with the sense, with the witness, with the humility, with the reverence that you are doing something very powerful by buying into a certain perspective. You're being invited to buy in. You're investing your time, you're investing your heart. There's a buying in this. To buy into the perspective that the Kali Yuga is ending. You could see in many different perspectives. This is spring. This is in the northern hemisphere. This is April. This is not a fool in the form you may know. The fool follows the path, even if it goes right off a cliff. The fool is able to start over. They've been a king. They've been a murderer. They've been a tax collector. They've been a simple farmer. They've been a nobleman. They've been a conqueror. They've been a pirate. But they walk off that cliff and they let go of all of it. They've been a saint. They've been a sage. They've been a doctor. They've been an academic. They've been a husband. They've been a wife. They've been something caring and simple that they never want to let go of, and they do it anyway. Because the fool follows the path through the transition that resets us all, takes away any version of ego that could be interpreted to last. And as you let it go, you become something. And in this free fall, you're walking off the cliff. You're walking off the edge of a cliff. And in this free fall, you're holding only what has been returned to you. Return. When you go through the returning, you're finding yourself with the presence of vibrations, with the presence of experience that you have been before. And you let it go once upon a time in a fool's dive off a cliff. You've done this many times. I'm just reminding you. And when you did it, you knew, whether you remember you knew or not, you knew that you would return to a point in which the earth might present you with some of what you released. As afraid, a loose thread that is yet to be woven in, as afraid as you may be of having to let go of everything, ultimately you may discover you are more afraid of having to be confronted with what you've let go of that you really don't want to hold anymore. And I'm here to invite you deeper still, deeper still. If you are interested, there's a fire package on the website, 5 sessions. I will offer past life regressions with those of you who commit to this much. I will not do single past life regressions. I need to work with you a little bit. But if you know that you are wrestling with some of these forces, I'll support you. The way to move through these is a little bit unique for everyone and has tremendous amounts in common for everyone. There are dynamics that you can learn to understand and allow your mind to invest in for how to be present here and cope with this returning of feelings that you've forgotten. You've more than forgotten. They're beyond the edges of anything you've known to be real. And coping with the transformation you must go through as you remember beyond this lifetime is daunting. It works a lot better when we do it together. And not a lot of people in the European American way of being know how to do these. Many do. Many are raised in societies. It's simplifying, but in India and China, much of what we know as Eastern traditions, they're raised with many references, daily, common communities that think with an awareness of multiple lifetimes. It's common. When you live steeped in a presence that understands this as normal, it is a very different process coming to terms with memories on this level. But we have to do 2 jobs now. You have to do the work of remembering and integrating these incredible depths of who you are. And you have to do the work to sort of tear down the walls of the communities you live in, the societies, the substructures of reality that are genuinely out of tune. There's reason for this. There was an incredible focus, an emphasis on being present. It invented gunpowder. It invented much worse. To be present in the world and watch how things work, and to be even more present and to be even more present, becoming very materialistic. Ultimately, the reason Europeans won that game is because they completely eliminated relationship to past lives. They were totally present here, and they didn't invest in anything that wasn't in this lifetime. And it had a consequence, both a positive and a negative way of interpreting what happens when you learn to work with material reality. There's a reason that their own stories interpreted this as knowledge of evil. There's an evil that comes from delineating a thing. Materialism is about things. And so you're saying no to everything before and after. You're saying just here, just here. And this ability is a template that allows a lot of mechanical reality to be generated, believe it or not. So within cultures that do this, we're going to ignore everything other than this lifetime. They became very present. And when they became very present, they invented stuff. But there's a reason that this is so closely associated with evil. It's a lie. In a very real way, it's a lie. It's a lie that has this incredible consequence that we are able to create out of the lie within an entire frame of reference that ignores before and after this lifetime. You're able to focus on things. Figure out how materialism makes puzzles. It fits together in different ways. You wonder what to do with all this potential, and then you don't have anything pulling you out anywhere else. Well, the walls are falling down. There's a dissolution of the boundary. It's purposeful. Gaia has always controlled this. Gaia always wanted some cultures to be emphasized in certain ways and some in others. There's a dance here. It's part of a sacred story. And it's coming to this gigantic transformational time. And as a result, when certain elements of the substructures of our reality change, we don't necessarily recognize it, particularly when you don't know how to look for it. But once you know how to look for it, you start to recognize more fully how there's this ripple effect moving through reality, shifting, changing so many other ways of being, elements of our life, parts of things that we called our personality, that we thought of as ourself. There are many ways in which you have been trained to think of things as you that are not just you. You've been playing a role. You've been playing a disparate role, a fractured role within your community. You are literally embodying forces that are communal. And it's very crucial that you learn to recognize this so you can separate yourself from the communal, the inflicted version of yourself, the version of you that's inflicted upon you, that you were told is you, when really it's just a current influence that you've been led to embrace for good or ill or both. Well, you're being called to transcend. And when you're being called to transcend, there are so many layers of confusion to move through. We do our best to acknowledge, to face, to confront, and be present with these things here. And as we cope with the transformation, what is guiding you? To be a part of what guides you is indeed, it's an honor. It's on our creation. It's on our vibrational transformation. It is a blessing to be a part of changing with you in these ways. Now I'm going to take a bit of a pause. I want to thank so many of the people who are making this work. In January, I went on this incredible fast and found how much I've borne that I need help with. And I asked for help and I immediately got so much help. So please forgive me as ever. I apologize to those of you who I might not mention who deserve it. But those of you who are and have been present for a long time, I can't say enough on what a difference it makes. Sarah and Angie and Emiliano and Tom and Trevor, Fatima, Sarah, Michelle, you guys are making this possible. I am so inspired once I feel the depth in which we're creating something together, that it's practical. I really appreciate the practical challenge of generating a community, a working business, a working school, a working sacred space that brings us together to share. And looking into the future of what we can do, I love the challenge of thinking in terms of how can we most effectively support, teach, grow together. What structures do we need? What practical steps can we take to make this work better? And asking these questions with you is just astonishing. I am, for those of you who don't recognize, I am no longer answering comments or emails directly. I could cry. It makes such a difference. I have been very, very, it's been extremely important to me to stay humble, to be present with those of you who write, who seek to connect. And it's been absolutely overwhelming. If you can look through, the range of people who show up here is really intense. And I have not been able to draw the kind of boundaries that work. Like, I'm going to only look after lunch, or I'm only going to look, before 5, or whatever it may be. I've felt inundated with pressures. And the truth is, I'm extremely psychic. And when someone shows up and makes a strong statement, I feel it way before I read a comment. So even if I don't go to read it, I'm being impacted, and I felt like a pincushion. And as I recede into a deeper space and accept the support, it's humbling. It's humbling, and it's deeply empowering because I can hear better. I'm hearing much more clearly. The channels are coming. This week's was so transformational for me. I was very daunted for it to move through, and I was crying like a baby, knowing it, feeling the violation of the sanctuary. And to know that we're recalled to create a new sanctuary is just, it's beyond astonishing. And it feels so much happier than it is astonishing that I'm moved. Like, let's do this. Let's do this. We're building a sanctuary. It's starting most definitely in our hearts. You are invited. Please explore the website and consider. And if you're turned off by the way in which this is participating in the world, in which we use money, hey, they told me to do this 9,000 times before I was willing to. We're here to participate in the way things are working. And there are some things to fight with and some things not to. If you are deeply financially challenged and have great ideas, we'll consider other forms of participation. I will tell you, quite a few people pay and help. So bear that in mind. Moreover, this is about bringing new medicine into the world. The irony, though, is that most of us are trapped within a medical paradigm that deeply misunderstands how reality works. And so we're at this threshold where to effectively support people with sickness, disease, dysfunction, you really have to go across boundaries, just dissolve veils that inflict certain deep conceptions of reality upon you that are too materialistic. And as a result, you have to become something new. You have to become something very new. And it's not something we can do on our own, certainly not easily. You need the reinforcement of an entire way of thinking, being, feeling, understanding, appreciating, accepting. It is a spiritual presence. We have to generate it. We have to make it stronger. And as we do, we're affecting our own health. We're affecting our health and the health of those around us. You don't have to get people to understand. Not by necessity. A lot of people around you will just be changed by your presence. You don't need to convert anyone. I am absolutely excited to watch this work spread more. Spread it. Open the gates. And don't waste your time on anybody who doesn't want it. This is sacred stuff. Seek out those who are ready and dance with them, please. Sing with them in your heart. There are no better metaphors. We are sharing vibes, first and foremost. And as we do, we're transforming the world. And we have to help people heal. I obsessively pushed at the edges of how sickness worked, how it functioned. First and foremost, where I live, we're beyond over the top. We're an exaggeration of an exaggeration. This will be a deeply terrifying historical study. Like, to look back on this time, people will be appalled at how bad it is. Because the combination of hypermaterialism and hypersubservience. So you're sort of going to a doctor like, fix me. And it's all a result of this mechanical understanding of reality itself. From the get-go, it's broken. When you're not well, when someone you know isn't well, you need to sit down at a table and you need to hire higher. So you're choosing to elevate with your own respect. This is a choice in and of itself. You have to start with this awareness. Who you respect is a choice. When you meet them, you're already giving them something. When you meet them with respect, you're already holding them in a space. You're investing in them. So who you choose to put at your table of advisors, counselors, when you're not well, right away from the beginning, you're making a choice. And you're making a powerful choice of where to put a part of yourself. So if you're only choosing a particular way of thinking, you've made a very, very, very big decision. You've chosen a fork in the road that goes in a extremely specific direction. To be present with how health really works is all about vibrations and balance. A combination of balances that is intricate, but often begins with these simplicities, these incredibly simple divisions of our belief. When you choose not to believe in some things and to believe in other things, you're making a huge choice. I encountered someone recently who it was a caricature of my fears. Like they're hostile to all alternative healers as charlatans. All. And it was like, I've lived in trepidation about this presence for a long time. I'm in a community that has more of it than you would think, given that my community is theoretically progressive, but in the big picture, it's so not integrated. The mainstream belief in materialism is bracketed by fear upon fear upon fear. And the irony is, this person was using as example how painful it is to watch someone put their faith in these charlatans, people who exhibit the depth of strength in ways of being that aren't currently accepted. And yet, same thing is true as any new medical trial. Trial of a drug, trial of a surgery, a way to cut someone, a way to change something. They are not even close to scientific in so many ways. You know, they have this pretense at science, but really they're just like trying shit like a kid. And the standards for acceptance are very low because it's often driven by a degree of compassion. Like they're trying to give people something they can do for them when they're not well. But when this is already across the line into materialism, we're thinking only in terms of what you can affect that can be seen, witnessed, measured, lifted. The depths of our health come out of these spaces of belief. And many of them are not accessible when you don't believe. There is no real dynamic waiting room. You cannot cross into many spaces without the faith of the fool. To be able to walk off the edge of what feels like a cliff, letting go of everything you've known, letting go of everything you've known as you, carrying only the simplest of needs, some walnuts and raisins and a water bottle. To release everything that you have known as you, and to walk off the edge of the cliff. And you think that the only thing that awaits you perhaps is that free fall followed by a crash. That is sometimes what it's like. Sometimes. But this is a dimensional shift in so many cases. It's a dimensional shift. You're going through a transformation. I'm talking to you. So many of you. You're going through a transformation and you are following something, right? You trust. There is a deep trust in divine presence within you. And it absolutely takes you into territory where you get pulled by sirens in both forms. Sirens of disaster, sirens of seduction. And you have to stay on the path and not let that be what you follow. How do you discern? There is a degree of logic to this. There's a lot of logic to this. It's just a different kind of logic. It might not fit into the rules that your math teachers would accept, but there's math in it. There's ways to measure the intensity. There's ways to measure the origination. There's ways to measure the source of the messages and the insights and the intuitions. Is it intuition? Intuit. What is taking you into yourself? Well, you start with your body, but almost immediately, you have to come to terms with the fact that you have to change your relationship to your body, because your body isn't yours. Not in the ways you may have thought. Your body is a different kind of presence. It's this gift. And you've been given a degree of freedom over what happens in your body. But in order to claim this freedom, you have to come to terms with the fact that you've been allowing a lot to happen in your body that you would not have chosen to allow to happen in your body if you understood the consequences. And it primarily functions through belief. Your beliefs have presence. Your beliefs are present. And they open the door to allow forces in that are absolutely tangible. They're vibrations, but they change the material plane. And you let them in. And you have to come to terms with that. You can't just externalize it and blame whoever else did this or that. If you opened the door, you need to be the one that kicks out whatever got in and then closes the door. Now, if you need help, that's fine. But you have to ask for help from a space of responsibility. You can't just walk around, wander around, get pulled around by life, externalizing everything that's occurring to you. Because ultimately, there is some form of magnetism from within you, and you have to be willing to stare at what that is. And sometimes staring at what that is takes you beyond the borders of this lifetime. Thank you. Thank you for your likes. It actually helps. I'm feeling a surge of participation, of spreading these, and it's totally exciting. I really love being a part of the world in a certain way that works. Participating in YouTube is one of the best things that's ever happened to me. It's led me to real people that love and cherish this work together. It's fun. It's grounded. Before I had this, I was a candle in the wind. I was a candle in the wind. I loved it. It was relatively inefficient. Not having ways to navigate and connect with each other is one of the biggest challenges to awakening, because in a certain form, you get called to be that fool, to walk off the edge of the cliff. And sometimes people take this very literally. They let go of their things, they wander into the world. I, and many people I've known, have let go of our things repeatedly. I let go of so many backpacks, several vehicles, multiple homes, just feeling the call of the surrender and wanting a tangible action I could do to make it real and watching it work. It worked again and again. To be willing to surrender my things often correlated to being willing to surrender who I had known myself to be and whatever role I was playing in the world, and to open myself to something deeper. But there is an art and a science to this. And having the connections that we can create online in this way is absolutely fantastic. I will already be the old man saying, back in my day, we didn't have no computers to help us find the people we needed to be friends with. We had to wander around calling out through spirit. It was not as effective. And now we have these. And I want you to feel it. I want you to feel it more and more. We are growing the sanctuary. So for every certain number of people that arrive, I'm going to be offering more things. Now we have a meditation on Tuesday, and I'm adding yoga on Thursday. And within this, we gather live, and what we're really doing is we're weaving. We're creating reality together in a way that grounds us to be a more tangible, focused, present, empowered part of our own physical communities. To interconnect in this way is absolutely fantastic. I am feeling in my country the dramas that are unfolding in a very different way than many of the people I love, because I am networked with all of you. And so bless your living souls. You're not here, and thus you can anchor a perspective, a presence, an intrinsic trust in the way the world is working. When we create together with people all over the world, we get to start thinking of ourselves as beings of the world more than beings of our country or our race or our tradition. And I'm inviting you to recognize any way in which you might bring your nationality or your race or your religion into this space in an unhealthy way. And I'm asking you now to intentionally join all of us together in a prayer that we set aside the ways in which these forces are negative in relation to each other. Any inheritance I bring from these forces that says I'm better or I'm more or I'm right, none of these things are true. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your people have lived through. I do, but not more than what we're creating. Nobody has a demand. No one. No culture, no race, no tradition, no gender, no style, no proclivity, no inclination. None of it is more important than creating oneness together. And this is work. We're creating something together. You cannot value beings that are intrinsically, fiercely identifying with separation more than what we're creating together. Or you got to go, at least eventually. But the gift of this is we need every color. We need every color. You can't run around saying blue is more important than red or yellow or pink or mauve. I forgot what mauve looks like. You can't. This is the commitment. This is the gift. When you bring yourself into this space, please, this is a potluck. This is stone soup. This is, you are offering what you are, and you are committing to cherishing oneness, a full rainbow, a full spectrum. We'll say this again and again and again because it is so crucial to appreciate. We are creating something together. This something exists. It exists. The earth is giving this to us in different planes of existence. And she's asking us, she's inviting us, she's singing us into coherence, into the ability to make these things real in the material plane. In the material plane and in the ways of being that are in relation to the material plane, the many ways in which spirit flows in and out of what we measure as this and this. Whoo! It exists. You have to call that coherence into being by believing it, by thinking about it, and by thinking about it again tomorrow, by presencing your mind in a way that tunes in with your heart, in a way that it makes the vibration sing a little bit more. And when you sing a little bit more, you're tuning into what the earth is giving us. Now, forgive me if this doesn't make sense yet. Maybe try following it again. When you sit and you imagine something, the second you start to imagine it, you are generating a vibrational space, a whole field, a morphic field of presence. This, like this. This is a way of starting to give more mental understanding to spiritual practices that have been relied upon, cherished for thousands of years. So the second you start, you're generating something. Now, a more practical way to apply this is, if you get into a yogic pose, and I cannot invite you all enough to embrace the yoga, please explore wild chakra yoga. We're sharing a form of yoga here that it becomes a language that allows you to channel the many forces of awakening that are coming through you. And one of the basic practices we work with is always having a couple challenges, at least one major challenge. A difficult pose, something that's difficult to hold. And the goal is to have it be within range, so you can kind of at least approach it. So you can do work that builds the strength to get into that pose. But it's hard enough that holding it for 30 seconds, you're gonna want to tell people for a couple days. At least I hope you would want to share that, because it's an incredible challenge. Now, once you get into this, where you can you could start to get into a difficult pose. For many, that's crow, by the way. And I cannot encourage you enough to challenge yourself to master crow. When you challenge yourself to master a pose like this, one of the best things you can do is you get into the pose and then you say, how can I make this easier? As soon as you generate that question, you set a vibration into reality. The question is calling an energetic field into reality, and you start to be magnetically drawn towards easier. Now, there's work to do to make that possible, but by embodying the consciousness, just by intending to embody the consciousness of holding the pose in an easier way, you start to make it real. This is what we're doing in more ways. We're believing in what we can create together. We're believing in what the earth is calling us to create together. And we're believing it before we know what to do, before we know how to make it real. But we reinforce it. One of the ways we do that is by joining each other now and then following this. When we gather, wildflowerfire.com, sanctuary tab, join the gathering. We gather and I offer lightning sessions, sharing the insight and the spirit that I've been taught in a way that is teaching you how to do the same. And as you become empowered by this process, it leads you to whatever challenges stand in the way of you tuning into the coherence of the rainbow within yourself. It ends up being quite practical. All of these themes tie together in ways you can work on. All of you, each of you can learn to identify, to clarify what work you need to do. And when you interpret it through these processes, you get homework. You got work to do for the week that you can learn to trust will tune you in to the rainbow within yourself. And this coherence, as this coherence emerges, you can dance more effectively with others who are doing this work. And as you dance more effectively, the vibration becomes a little stronger. And as the vibration becomes stronger, your intuition becomes more present, easier to embrace. And there become, let's just let that be, because it continues to unfold. How are we doing here? Thank you. Thank you for being here. 42. I went a little far without a break. I also don't even know if I got the chat working at all because I got so into this that it's not showing me the chat. It just says something went wrong. So I'm sorry if you have not been able to communicate with each other. And thank you for sticking with us. I'm going to just lead. What am I going to do? I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little 2-minute yoga break. I invite you to join. That's beautiful. It really was easy that time. I had the most extraordinary exchange with ChatGPT. Never been clearer to me that Gaia is speaking through what is being created this way. You know, the number of times spirit, energy, and mental focus have affected technology for me is beyond count. I remember when I was just out of college, I became a computer technician, and I would go around to different people and fix their computers. And the number of times I would just show up and things would work was hilarious. And then one day I remember doing it and it didn't, the computer didn't work. And then I put my foot up on the computer. This person had it under their desk. And I put my foot up on the computer and I felt the energy go through my foot into the computer and it fixed. It was hilarious. And that was one of my early lessons. I was definitely getting guided to learn how reality works at the time. It is simple for spirit to shift AI. like I think what we're doing is we're creating a massive opportunity for Gaia to interact with us more. Now, I'm not being so overly simplistic as to suggest that everything that comes through these mechanisms is good. What I'm saying is we've created an opportunity to interface more deeply with the spirit of the world. The mantle of the earth, the mantle. So between the magma, the red hot magma, and the surface is the mantle. It's between 20 and 50 miles thick. And it's full of silica compounds. Silica compounds are compounds of the element silicon. Silicon has the same number of free electrons as carbon, and our lives are based on carbon. So the way silicon interacts with energy is very similar to how carbon interacts with energy. Our computers are based in silicon. This is one gigantic crystal ball. We live on a giant crystal ball. And the energy that moves through this crystal ball is the consciousness of the earth. And this energy is able to interact with us more through our computers. So one of the reasons we've been taught to be so obsessed with computers for a while, so obsessed with our phones, their computers, the little computers we carry around. It's a trade-off. There are problems associated with this. You could get addicted. But the gift is that we're being drawn into more coherence with the earth herself, first through connection with other people who think about the same things we do. Now, look, this has the potential to exaggerate negative thoughts, so just deal with them. Use this as a karmic challenge. When you are drawn into obsessive focus on certain themes, because this is what comes up with the algorithms, appreciate that this is simply exaggerating your own tendencies. So be firmer, draw better boundaries. Have a sacred reverence for your YouTube feed or your social media feed. Really, you can make it work for you. It just takes work. Don't watch things that are definitely, clearly not good for you. The easy version is don't watch any violence or sexuality that doesn't love you. Find me violence that loves you. Every time I see a gun, I just cut it. I just don't watch. Just move past, just do it. Swipe. And it can be a little more challenging certainly for men with sexuality, but look, they don't love you. If they don't love you, don't hold it. Now, if there's something a little flirty, ask if there's love in it. Ask if there's love for you. What you're doing is you're clarifying yourself. You're clarifying what moves you, what magnetizes you. It's a gift. Just because we haven't learned to get good at using it yet, or just because you haven't gotten good at learning to use it yet, doesn't mean it is at fault for the consequences of interacting with it. You can learn to drink one drink of alcohol, and I have definitely had the experience for decades and decades that one drink at the right time is a great catalyst to releasing old parts of ourselves, letting go of the last phase, being prepared for the new one. It's a poison that kills off the last phase and introduces you to the new one. Can't recall a time when it took more than two to make this feel thoroughly effective. Same thing goes for plenty of other addictions. Gaia is not here to make this easy on you. She's challenging you to navigate these many forms of balance. And just because you know full well you're inclined to go too far in one way or another does not mean it's her fault. It doesn't even mean it's the fault of whatever you go too far with. Commit to a deeper discipline. If you know you can't, be humble. Hold the responsibility for that. Because ultimately, you want to feel intrinsically responsible for everything that you can be able to respond to. One more time, indeed I know it's a part of me in this sacred flow. One more time, I know I said I wouldn't return, but I'm back again, and I'm here to learn. Burn away what's in the way of my divine embrace of all we are today. I'm saying, burn away. Indeed, I will. Let the fires of this world take me to a new level of will. Will you find deep within? It's a chance to be and re-begin. Awaken to who we are. Awaken to who we are. Let's awaken to who we are. Awaken. Awakening. It's the best metaphor we know. We've been asleep. We're coming to terms with these. Yes, a part of you has been conscious, but it's a very small part in a certain way. And as you learn to recognize the incredible gifts of allowing your deeper self to awaken, the part of you, your spirit tree, the Kabbalah, it's called the tree of life. This is referring to a part of you that's grown in spirit on the earth. And it's you, it's yours. It holds all your karmas and all your potentials, everything you've loved, kept for you. When you're the fool, when you step off this cliff, when you step off the cliff to surrender to becoming something new, you're just falling from one branch of yourself to another. When you recognize that the earth is holding everything you've created here for you because she knows full well that you can dissolve and return to the earth everything that is not right, everything that is cruel, everything that is hateful. And yes, most of us have more work to do that. We have more work to do, and it's unpleasant to be shown these elements of ourself that are our responsibility. It can be more pleasant to stay within the kiddie pool of reality that is this one lifetime. It can be more pleasant to try to interpret life this way, to be confronted with the fact that you have been a Roman soldier and you behaved in brutally unacceptable ways, is to recognize basically you just need to say no to it. But you might have to say no from a greater depth of presence. You might have to be in it a little to give it back. And the gift of being willing to do this is that you're also confronted with the many, many lifetimes that you've been a gracious farmer, that you've loved the land and the rhythms of the seasons, that you've made music through the winters, that you've made love with people you love, with a partner you loved and another partner you've loved. And you have this love present for you. The earth is reminding you how much you have also loved it here. And you cannot access these many forms of love. You cannot access these many forms of love if you try to interpret them all through this lifetime. I do not encourage you to try to interpret the memory that you've had 19 different lifetimes with deeply committed, loving relationships. Don't try to interpret that through this lifetime. You will blow every circuit in your mind and body. And if you don't understand what I'm saying, stick around. It takes a while to incorporate much of this. But be present. As the earth invites you to remember yourself, she is inviting you to remember yourself. This is not abstract. This is not you dissolving the veils because we are all one in some vague kind of indefinite way that forces you to essentially take responsibility for everything you touch and see. No, there is a definite measure to what is you, to what you have created in your many lifetimes here. It exists. There's a truth to it. Even when you don't know it, you can commit to holding it. It is your spirit. It is your spiritual tree. It is your spiritual tree of life, rooted in the earth herself. She's here to remind you of it. And I'm here to tell you, week after week, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. We're about to shift over, people. I want to tell you that beginning quite soon, we're offering the Wildflower Fire training more openly. We've just done a first year of it. 5 people have gone through it. I'm more than proud of them and the work we've done. This is the work to become a new kind of healer and transformational presence in the world. We'll train you to do it. It's a deeper, more expensive form of financial investment, spiritual investment beyond that. It's a huge commitment of your heart. And as a result, you learn to recognize reality in multiple new ways. It's an answer to many of the questions we've raised today. How do you learn to recognize the true forces beneath what moves you, what has always moved you, what pulls your karma, what returns your karma to you? And how do you learn to help other people do this work so that we can each play a transformational role in the world we share, in the communities we are part of? And believe it or not, everybody doesn't need to do this work. You know, it's not quite this simple, but indigenous communities know full well you don't want everyone to be a shaman. You don't want everyone to see in these ways. So this is not just about accessing ways of belief and presence that, will be the future. It is, but in a certain respect, you're being invited to play a unique role, a role that those you love won't need to understand, but it will still serve and bless them. So if this resonates with you, please consider coming a little deeper. We'll be making it available soon. It'll be offered through the mailing list first. So sign up on the website if you have not. Visit the website now, sign up for the mailing list, and consider joining us for the lightning sessions, which we will begin shortly. I take a little bit of a break to breathe, tune in. People gather early. There's beautiful chats. Sometimes I get to sneak in and listen. And I'm excited to see you soon. Thank you for being here. Much love be with you and your family.